Welcome back, everybody, to our challenge podcast, episode 10, I believe we'll be covering today. How's everybody doing?
Cold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not as cold as
Tired
Fan Guy,
of-
though, probably.
Yeah, not as close as that guy.
We're not that cold. Texas just couldn't handle it.
I do hope all the Texan players are doing well. Fan guy, Dot, Carry the K, there's a lot of them. Shelby, Monet, Leo. Hopefully they're all doing well.
Wow.
Carrie with a K looked like she was chilling on a beach somewhere.
Yeah, I know. She's living the good life with Ted Cruz. So thoughts on this last? Well, first we'll do ups and downs. Yeah, I'm tired of this edit, but who went up for you? Who went down for you, fan guy?
Up. I'm gonna actually just say the whole. I'm gonna group them together and say the whole Big Brother alliance kind of went up. And down. Other than Josh, who I'm actually gonna put down because I don't see him holding on to his thing for very much longer.
What you make?
Down for me, Gabby and Lolo. Were kind of both down for me. Are we doing up too or just down?
Yeah, who went up?
I think Devin went up. I think Devin's making smart decisions. Like it really doesn't matter if he pisses off Gabby because who cares about Gabby? So I think he's putting himself, the way that he plays is very bold, but it's working for him.
Days.
My down is Lolo and Nam. Just that entire dynamic is chaotic. They can't work together, and if you can't work together as a team, you can't make it in this game. Like you have to be able to make decisions, and yeah, they're just not. They're horrible. And my up, obviously Cam, but also Devin. I think overall Cam and Leroy are running this game, but as Meg said, Devin is making great decisions. I think he kind of forced Gabby's hand into making a move that she shouldn't have made, and that just shows the strength of his strategic ability in this game.
I think because of the edit, I could put everybody down this week because I don't understand anybody's game, to be honest. But I actually am going to put Devin and Gabby both down. I feel like they're both so on the outside that they're going to be screwed at some point, even Devin. And then up, I kind of agree with Fanga. And I guess if anybody's up, it's the Big Brother Alliance overall. I don't know if anybody specifically, but yeah. Actually, I kind of just want to open with this edit because even when I post on Twitter, someone's always talking about the edit. Somebody responds, and somebody definitely disagreed with us last week, Days. Her name is, I don't know if, well, I assume Hi Julie was the one on Twitter who's usually always responding. She definitely disagrees that Cam and Leroy are running this game. And she brought up some good points that even though they're trying to edit it this way, that Cam's been on the opposite side of the vote a few times, and that sometimes Cam and Leroy have actually voted differently.
So let me clarify what I meant by that. And I wrote this down. I don't know why I contradicted myself just now. Cam and Leroy aren't necessarily controlling the votes, but they are protected on all angles. Nobody is going to vote them back down into the crater. They are safe. They have a clean ride to the end of the game if they want it. They don't necessarily control the votes, as we saw this week, which they didn't need to anyways, but they're protected. They have nothing to worry about.
I mean,
I don't think running the game is the right term to use. I think that they're in the best spots of the game and at this point most likely to win.
The only chance they have it going back down into the crater is if someone makes a super maverick move like the last week right before the final, and they're like, let's take a shot at either KC, Leroy, Cam, or Kyle. But I agree. That's the only way they're gonna go back down there. So yeah, I mean, I think that was articulated well because they're not running the game, but they have nobody coming after them, and the few people that don't want to take any chances at going down against them. So they're covering themselves as well by being amazing competitors on top of their social protection.
Yeah, looking back at their decision to split up and separate themselves into different teams really benefited them in the long run. And who was this Twitter user? I need to get a Twitter account going so I can go start a beef.
Hi, Julie.
Okay. I'm gonna look for that.
I don't even know if she listens to the podcast, but she definitely listens to the clips I put up on Twitter.
Sounds like a Big Brother fan.
Yeah, I know. Maybe it is. And speaking of that, I just want to do you think if we're going to say somebody's running the game, is that actually the Big Brother Alliance? Because I feel like they get the most going their way throughout most of the season so far.
It's the closest thing you could say to somebody running the game. I don't know that anybody's necessarily running this game. It's pretty open as far as I see it. But yeah, I think the Big Brother group is in a really good spot. And I think that's kind of like, it's weird watching Devin do what he normally does to Bananas, but now he's doing it to the whole Big Brother squad. Because that's normally Devin's MO, is I'm just going to outwardly talk about Bananas. And this season he switched it up, and now it's Big Brother, Big Brother, Big Brother. So outside of that one hurdle, the Big Brother Alliance is in a really good spot. But Devin is definitely trying to put them on the radar.
I'll point out that all the Big Brother folks have their skulls.
I mean, I think that speaks for itself, really. And I think, unfortunately for Devin, he just doesn't have any numbers. I mean, other than Kyle, he can't really do much against us all.
Be careful there, because folks were helping him out in this daily.
But
Kyle,
more folks weren't.
Well, I mean, Kyle was,
He's got
Cam
CT.
was, Leroy. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people kind of showed them where things were. I mean, all these, I tried to draw out a little spiderweb alliance chart, and I just couldn't do it because, like we said last week, it's so intertwined, and we're getting real close to that backstabby part of the game where you've got to make a decision, draw a line, who you're going to protect and who you're going to sacrifice. And we're starting to see that.
This challenge, I think, really helped show who's aligned with who, or at least who they're kind of more not rooting for in this game. But it was really hard to follow. There was a lot happening, so I'm sure we'll get there. But
well, one of the big things that I took from this episode was Cam separating herself with folks like Devin and Kyle, and then Leroy separating himself with folks like Nani and Josh, along with Casey. Like, they're working both sides, and it's starting to bleed together. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get caught trying to play both sides of this game.
That guy, you did mention that Devin might have CT. They are both plotting against Josh. I do feel like if anybody on the Big Brother Alliance is the easy target, it's Josh. But any other thoughts on CT and Devin?
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. They're both OGs. I mean, they've both been around for a while with the challenge. And it's like any other game. Whether you intend for it to happen or not, the longer you spend with people, the more you get to know them. You're going to gravitate to those people and trust them more. And I think that they just have, they haven't always worked together, but what is it? Familiarity breeds something. They're familiar with each other. And I think that they trust each other. And so, yeah, I think that they're a strong unit, but, and 100% agree with you. Josh is going to be the first guy to lose a skull. Like, I don't think that's any secret or surprise.
Well, Meg, how are you feeling about your boy Fessy and Gabby and their little showmans?
who said Fessy was my boy?
Being sarcastic.
I think it's a game move, and I see right through him.
What is your take, Meg,
Playboy,
on
okay? I don't buy this whole, oh, I'm shy, everybody thinks I'm mean, but I'm really not. No, I don't buy that for a minute.
he needs to learn what what introversion and extroversion is. I don't think
Right.
he knows what those terms mean.
It doesn't sound like.
For Gabby, I just feel like it's probably just been so long that she's been like held up with these people that she's finally just like, all right, I guess I'll take the bait. Like, let's have fun while I'm here.
Well, I don't know if they're open or what, but she has a boyfriend, or so I read
At the time of this recording?
at the time of this recording.
Well,
Or
the challenge recording.
I don't know for sure. I mean, maybe there's an agreement that do what you need to do to win, $500,000, $1 million. But I'm pretty sure she is cuffed up. So definitely a game move if that's the case.
He's such a tool. Such a tool.
And lastly, before the challenge, we have this continued mess that is Lolo and Nom. Any thoughts on Lolo and Nom?
She's cracking.
I think she really thinks she's in a relationship with him, or I can't figure it out. Maybe she thinks there's a future, and maybe she thinks she's on Love Island. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it's as much the relationship as it is. I don't think Lolo knows how to work in just a partnership, and with, like she said, she's used to having a coach who's figuring out what part of the team needs to step it up. And I don't think she knows how to do that on her own.
I also think the lack of winning is starting to get to her. Not that she consistently won as an Olympian, but you can tell that the way she channels her emotions is into physical competitions and whatnot. And you can tell that because when she's in an argument, she starts to cry and tries to hold it back every single time. And I think without her, daily training and competition, she's, like Meg said, she's starting to lose it. And
I think that because she's an Olympian and she's like an athlete, I think her goal is just the win. And in order to get the win, she needs to get her skull. And she's working with a teammate who is playing a different game. He's not used to the challenge, right? And I think Nam's taking it very much day by day instead of looking at the long end goal.
Do you feel bad for him? Like I'm
Nam?
starting to feel really bad for him. Yeah.
No.
There's some gaslighting going on there, and I mean that can take a major toll on you.
I expected more out of Lolo, quite frankly. Given her pedigree, her competitive pedigree, her mental game seems really weak. Like just mental, like for being Olympians are supposed to be really mentally tough people, and she just seems not, like very much not.
She did recently just win the world championship for bobsledding, but so there's that. I did like her talking about how she's used to having a coach though, and her and Nam just can't get it together that way. And if we go to the NFL coaching, which I think is like 80% terrible, I think it does play a big part for athletes. When they have a good coach, hey, they could probably get to their best ability.
Well, we might not see her for much longer. Given the preview for next week, she might end up checking out. Which if she's breaking down, then yeah, that's maybe what she needs to do. Just like what was the dude's name? Yeah, that checked out. If that's what you got to do, then do it. And it's getting pretty obvious that she needs to take a break.
I mean, she didn't do herself any favors by going into the deliberation, just announcing how bad her and her teammate were working together.
Those two I think are completely lost on the dynamics of the game and how voting works. That the votes probably already, like, everybody knows what they're going to do before the deliberation. And I don't quite think they figured that out yet. They are stuck in competition mode. That's the only aspect of the game that they can really think about, and they haven't caught on to the politicking part of it yet.
I don't think there was too much politicking on Ultimate Beastmaster.
Oh, I don't think so. Well, let's talk about the Survivor like challenge, the uncover the puzzle pieces and put a puzzle together. Except you could bury people's puzzles deeper. I mean, what were your biggest takeaways, guys? You said there was a lot to uncover from this challenge, Meg, but what did you uncover?
It was just hard to follow. It was hard to really follow what was going on, and it took me a little bit to figure out who was helping who and who was in the lead, but it was just all over the place, but I loved it. I think I texted Fan Guy and I was like, I love this episode. I'm trying to catch up and I'm like, this is such a great episode, but honestly, until it got to the traitor. But the lead up, I mean, this challenge I think was the best challenge this season so far.
I do like these kind of challenges that you can see who's working with who, even though on this show they're not doing a very good job of showing us this season. But what were your takeaways, Fan Guy?
The editing of the challenge was what was bad. I think that's kind of what we're all implying, because the challenge itself could give a lot of information, but the way they showed it to us didn't give us as much information as I would have liked, because it was kind of just a cluster of just I think what we learned is primarily actually what Days mentioned a little earlier, which is that there's a lot of people playing multiple sides and only a few people that were like, I'm reburying this person's, and it's all pretty much anti-Devin. But even Devin had people from both sides helping him a little bit. So the cool challenge. Yeah, I'm with everyone else. I like seeing the social dynamics get to come out in a challenge that isn't like trivia or something like that. But I just wish the editing on the challenge would have been a little bit better, so we could have put together a little bit better who is working with who, because I still think it's just a big cluster.
Days, did you gather anything?
A couple things. First off, I think Devin mentioned this during the challenge. Maybe he said it to Gabby, but my first thought was everybody's trying to bury their little pieces. I would have been looking off to the side just to see who was burying pieces, knowing that it was probably mine, and just ran to that spot and started digging. Second, I hate that they called this a puzzle, because it wasn't a puzzle. You had the standing thing right there. It was more of a memorization and go back and build the damn thing. I kind of wish that wasn't there, and you just had to try to figure out how it goes together. And then third, I honestly, with the editing, I kind of checked out like halfway through the challenge, because my mind was going to like National Geographic with the turtles like digging out the sand and dropping eggs in the hole. And that's kind of where I went, just so I could enjoy the rest of that daily.
I think the field was so large though, and there's so many players still out there running around and scrounging that in the moment it probably was difficult to be kind of looking around you if it wasn't just to the pole right next to you to see who was doing what, because I think that's difficult in that arena to see burying versus digging. And I can understand. I think that would have been easier. It's easier said than done.
I wonder if it was against the rules. Like if you found somebody else's, you could just hold on to it and like make them try to get it from you. That might have been a good strategy.
I was shocked at how some of the teams were really struggling on the puzzle part of it. And I'm like,
it's right there.
Yeah, Josh and Nani seem to be there to pour everybody out and just
they're like, we have such a lead, and I'm like, well, this is an easy one if you have a lead. Like literally, you just go.
I think the difficulty in it though is that they're circular pieces, and there's different pictures and lines on each side. So to get the correct side and then line it up with, it was like what 7 pieces maybe.
I think it was 10.
10, yeah,
oh, really?
10.
Well, then, yeah, even more so. I think that, like I'm saying about what Days was saying, I think like in the moment, it's probably more difficult than what it looks like to.
In the moment, the easiest, most obvious things can be very difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
Obviously, like vegetarian wolves.
Well, Big CT almost won, but they had one their pieces, I believe, was off. But in the end, it was Devin and Gabby picking up the win. So I guess, I mean, where do we even go from here?
I think you start with Devin just throwing everything out there just to see what would stick, because I think he realized he wasn't going to get his way in this. As power hungry as he was, he didn't get what he wanted. I think he kind of did in the end, but
Ish. I mean, I guess we'll just go for this first. I mean, why? What do you think Gabby's thinking was? Why wouldn't she throw herself in? Just because she's friends with Amber M? Was that it?
I think
She
she let
got
herself get
scared.
overpowered by Devin.
And we still don't know what happens if one person wants to go down and the other doesn't. We still don't know if they tell
True.
TJ, if one person's like, I want to go down, and the other one's like, I don't. Like, we don't know how that turns out. So I wish it would have gone down so that we could at least get the answer to that.
I agree with that.
I think she knew when she saw it was a hall brawl too, that if she were to go down and therefore force Devin to go down, if that's what happens, right? And he has to hall brawl against Corey, his chances of winning are slim. And then I don't think that she wanted that on her.
But I mean, should Gabby really care about Devin? I don't really understand why she would.
I mean, I don't think that she should, but I think it got in her head that I don't think she wanted to do that to her partner's game or have the wrath of Devin coming back. I mean, obviously he'd be gone, right? But
well, even if first of all, we all knew it was the girls' challenge. There's 2 less women than there are guys at this point, and there's still a skull left for the women. So we all knew it was at least going to be the women. Plus, it was a hall brawl again. We already saw that for the men. So there's your second clue. And I
think
honestly,
she got scared by the hall brawl.
Yeah,
I don't want to do a hall brawl, so I don't blame her. But at the same time, like TJ was saying, there's only 2 left. Like, what are you doing? You either try and you lose and you go home, or you go home because you don't have a skull at the end of the day.
And Amber M's not the biggest girl. Like, if there was any, like, don't get me wrong, neither is Gabby. Gabby's probably the last girl in the house, I would say, who wants to actually do a hall brawl, other than maybe Big T.
But
like,
who better to do it against than Amber M?
Big T. but I mean,
I disagree after that showing.
Big T would put up a fight.
Yo, it was pathetic. Amber M, that was, yeah, we're going to get to that. But I actually don't hate Gabby's decision. I agree with you, Meg. Like, I just think she saw the hall brawl. You know what? And any sort of like fire she had to go in there definitely diminished a little. It had to. There's no way that does not favor her. It's just, she's not built for that.
It's a scary thing to walk into, especially when you've never been in like an elimination challenge before. That definitely would not want to be your first one.
Well, first off, when her and Fessy were, mauling each other in the bedroom, did they not say that she was planning on switching teams if she was to win and switch, take Fessy as a partner? So why she shouldn't have cared about Devin, right? Like, she wanted to switch anyways. And then 2, she had a definitive backup plan. Devin even told her while they were standing up there, that's what you wanted, which was Amber B to go down there. So that was her plan if she decided not to go into the crater. So was that the best decision? She could have thrown Lolo in there because they wanted to go down there anyways. So why did she revert back to going after Amber B? Like, the whole thing just didn't make sense to me.
Nothing makes sense to me.
Maybe it was emotional. I have no idea where her head was at. And maybe Devin really did just get in her head. Like that was his attempt to get a Big Brother player out, Amber B.
She said she didn't want Lolo to go down there and win and come back, and then she would potentially have to compete against Lolo later.
That's fair.
She'd rather have to compete against Amber B.
I can't see that being Devin's plan, honestly, because I get he's anti-Big Brother, but Amber B's not exactly the Big Brother player that everyone's fearing. So I feel like Devin would have wanted to take a bigger shot. So the whole sending Darrell and Amber B down there to me made no sense. And if it happens to be a guy's day, now you're giving Darrell a skull. Because he's gonna maul just about anybody in that.
I don't know. Darrell and Corey would have been.
I think Darrell has
amazing.
Corey, unless Darrell's lost more steps than we realize.
I don't know. Corey's pretty built.
Another part of the edit that did not make sense to me. So we have Devin threatening to put in Josh and Nani, but Nani wants to go in, allegedly wants to go in. But their whole edit didn't make sense because Nani wants to go in, but they would be mad and upset if Devin put them in. So I don't know. It's another thing of this edit that made no sense to me.
The editing in general was horrible. I mean, the names were up on the boards as to who were the double agents before we even figured out who they were. So the editing in this episode was shit. Yeah.
Got a wee bit lazy with the editing, did we, MT?
I feel like they just rushed the editing on the season. I didn't expect the season to start until like March or April, and then they started it in January. I think they just rushed the edit. That's what it feels like to me.
Oh, they got to get to their shitty OG season.
So as far as this hall brawl goes, does anybody actually think Amber B is a rugby player? She made a pretty big deal about that, and I just didn't see it. That's not how you truck somebody. I mean, she was standing straight up on that first impact.
It was the most pathetic.
I mean, she didn't have to do anything, though. Amber M was such a mess, dropping balls and just, I don't even know. All Amber B had to do was walk through it, really.
The little Amber running through the hall after she dropped her ball. I was like, go back for the ball. Why are you running to the other side when you don't have a ball?
You got half the house just going, she dropped her ball. And she just left it there. Like, that's on par with Josh not being able to throw a ball 5 feet in the freaking square.
Yeah, that was rough.
Y'all making me want to go on the challenge now. Starting to think.
I mean,
I have a better chance than I thought based on
it.
what I'm seeing.
Maybe against Josh.
I'll smash him.
I mean, any other thoughts on this whole? I mean, I don't really know where to go because nothing made sense to me.
Yeah, just a mess. I was highly disappointed in the elimination as it was because I love me some hall brawl. I wish they wouldn't have added the balls to it. Maybe like set the walls on fire instead of having balls and just run through a fire hall. That would have been kind of cool.
I mean, it would have been over in 3 seconds had there not been any balls because Amber B would have just run right over her. Amber M had no idea what she was doing.
She could have just jumped over her.
Yeah.
She's like 2 feet tall.
The elimination was very disappointing.
Her and Mishi were the perfect team. I'm just going to say that.
I want to see Corey get in a better spot. I like his like kind of Black Widow thing he has going on now. And I think honestly, I don't know if he's doing anything to help himself stay the rogue agent, which could be a good move for him, but he needs a chance to go down and get his skull. So he might have to win in order to throw himself down there to do so. So
I want to point out, TJ said it again, that the next elimination, you will find out who your partner is. So does that mean it's completely thrown me off because the next elimination we think would be a guy's, right? Unless they're going to do a girls' elimination again. TJ's wording is really fucking me up in this show this season.
if the next one is a girls, then that's it. everybody has a skull, right?
Yep.
So I almost feel like he has to do it, guys, just to, I don't know.
Do a double.
It's gonna be a
See
guy.
double.
Well, I think the thing is, if it's a guy, then somebody loses their partner, and that person becomes Corey's partner. Is what TJ means.
Yeah.
You got a
Okay,
couple
yeah,
hungry guys without skulls. You got CT and Corey sitting there, and they're ready.
And
Like, they're
yeah,
not.
you
just-
got
Darrell.
if they and Darrell, if they get a shot, they're going.
CT, Corey, Nom, and Darrell. Yeah.
And 3 of those, I
Dom's
don't know
not
about
getting
Nom.
a skull. Let's just count him out now. That's not happening.
Darrell, CT, or Corey, I'm confident if any one of them won the daily, they're going to put themselves in.
Yeah.
So I think the dailies are going to actually take a bigger
Yeah,
importance.
but then Corey kind of screwed himself. Well, I guess it's not exactly his fault, but he can't win the
You can't
next.
Yeah,
compete.
that's why it's
Yeah.
kind of getting late in the game for him to be losing every partner.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, let's talk about this Lolo possibly leaving and the security breach. I'm assuming I really think that Lolo is going to check out and they're going to bring somebody back. So I wrote down who all has been eliminated and who possibly could be coming back in.
You
And
think
at the top,
I think it's too late to bring somebody back. Do you think they would do that?
I think they'd bring somebody back just like they did with Ashley. I mean,
They probably
shit, they
need
brought mercenaries in like over halfway through the season.
Who is all out though?
The
Tori.
list is
Probably be
Ashley,
is who I would think they would bring back.
Tori. Yeah, that's the top. They can't bring Ashley back twice. That's just
And
that
Tori's
would be
been out for a
irritating.
while. Like Teresa just got out. Like it feels like even Tori's been out of the game for a while. And the person they would bring back if they had to, which I feel like they have to, if Lolo checks out, it would logically be Teresa.
Yeah, that is logical.
So I guess I could see that. I haven't seen any spoiler. Well, I haven't gone looking specifically for spoilers, but so I don't really
hate
know who.
spoilers.
Me too. The only thing I knew was that Natalie had to leave early, unfortunately.
Yeah, it can't be Liv or Nicole because they went out with injuries. They surely haven't recovered yet. Wouldn't be Natalie. Maybe Amber M, little Amber. And then,
Not after that shit.
and then Teresa and Tori. I'm kind of betting Tori, but maybe they do bring Toxic T right back.
Yeah, I think that's a better storyline is Teresa coming back.
Yeah, if TJ has any say in this, it ain't gonna be Amber M. Because TJ does not like poor competitors. He just doesn't. Like if you're not at least if you're gonna just drop your ball and not actually, like you could suck, but at least play the game and suck.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they never invited her back to play again.
But if they bring Tori back, we can see the love triangle of Fessy, Tori, and
We
Gabby.
won't see it. They won't put it in the edit.
Yeah, who knows what's gonna happen?
Another thing from the preview was TJ saying that nobody is in my final yet. I don't know if y'all caught that, but it seemed like they were all waiting for the final to be announced. Like everybody had their skulls, and TJ's like, none of y'all are in my final yet. So I'm wondering what that means, if there will be a purge and they just they get rid of the skulls and you have to start over. Who knows?
I mean, I would hope not, but at this point, it's been so convoluted, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I take that as just meaning like we're not at the end yet. So like you have to keep fighting because even if you have a skull, it doesn't mean you're gonna keep it.
I mean, honestly, if they got to 5 skulls and then purged everybody that didn't have a skull, I'd be all for it because then actually the skulls would matter.
How many episodes are there actually? Because I went back and looked today. In the last couple of seasons, there's been 18, but the 18th was the reunion.
Yeah, I think there's usually 16, isn't there? 16 or 16.
So this was episode 10.
But usually the final is 2 episodes too, so don't forget that.
Yeah.
If they didn't purge everybody without a skull, what would they do with them?
Well, then we have this whole thing where you just have to pick somebody that does have a skull against somebody that doesn't have a skull, I guess.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that becomes a thing, because what happens if next week, like, the House votes in CT and then the people in power put in Darrell? Like,
I'm assuming they can't do that. I don't know.
That's what I'm wondering. Can they? Can they not? What happens? Is it just an elimination for nothing?
True.
I mean,
I think somebody just goes home.
A lot of loosey-goosey rules here.
And then that becomes a very intelligent move for the people with skulls then to like put two of the power people who don't have them together.
Yep.
And
that
say,
just a skull voting block.
2 or 3 weeks ago when the guys' skulls were all taken. Like that, I feel like that would be the move you would make, is just knock out 2 people that don't have skulls. But they don't seem to be discussing that. Or maybe they are. We're just not.
True. Any other predictions for next week?
Was the preview for the daily?
I don't even remember.
Hanging from something. It looked like a Heights. Were they on helicopters again or something?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. I just remember Lo, though, looking like she's going to quit, and then the whole security breach.
I won't give a prediction for the daily, but I'm gonna go ahead and assume that Josh is in the elimination. And like I said, I think it was from last week where I mentioned Josh wasn't in the second half preview. So I'm gonna just assume that he gets thrown in and gets eliminated.
I predict Big T wins and CT throws himself down against Josh.
I can see that.
I want to see that.
I'm going to piggyback on that. Bye-bye, Josh.
I hope we get to see the CT fight next week.
I just hope, well, it's too late in the season now for the editing to even get better, but I hope it at least becomes a little more, either more clear or more dramatic. I'll take either one. Either drama or strategy. Either one's fine by me.
I also hope that my bootleg website I use to watch the episodes doesn't give away who the double agents are, because Gabby was in the preview in the little room that they sit in. I was like, fuck, I already know who won the daily. Pissed me off.
All right, well, that's all I have for this week's lackluster episode of the challenge. Thank you all for joining me. I will see everybody next week.